Well, hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Williams, and it is National Medical Group Practice Week. And all week, we've been talking with practice leaders, hearing their stories, their friction points, their wins at their practices, and just learning more about your peers during this week. So today, we're talking with Tori Cordova, an early career practice leader and senior manager of practice administration at Banner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Tori, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have talked several times in the past on early career stuff and other projects, Future 5, right? Were you
Yes.
Future 5 award winner? Yeah, so great to have you back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so let's go into your history a little bit. Even though we've talked with you before, we always get new listeners. So tell us a little bit about that healthcare journey. What got you into healthcare in the first place?
Yeah, my mom started out as a CNA fairly young as well. And I watched the dedication she has to that, and it inspired me. So I became a CNA at 17. Thought I was going to go into nursing, but ultimately fell in love with the administrative side of things. And that's kind of what led me into practice management.
That is so cool. So 17, you were already in the healthcare field?
Yeah.
That is so wild. I was not doing that at 17. I was trying to, I think, learn how to drive and get out of high school. That is so cool. Well, let's go back to that first job then, because you've had a really interesting career already, even though you're still an early careerist. But talk about those first steps, those first jobs you had and what your role was there and what you learned there.
Yeah, so in terms of when I went into more of the administrative side, I went into medical billing to start with, and I did that for a little bit, and then I went to get a bunch of medical coding certifications, and one of the certifications they offered is a practice management certification, and between watching other leaders and what they do and how they problem solve and support staff, that inspired me to move into that direction. And so I got into leadership fairly early, being a front office manager for a different cancer center, and then I became a practice manager at Banner Health and promoted to senior manager, and I'm just happy to keep growing and supporting, the teams I work with and help care for the patients we have.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that because that's really interesting to be really, relatively young and already put into a leadership role. What's that like? I think we're learning that people can lead at any level in a company and at any age in a company. But, let's be real. If you're in your early 20s, you're already leading in certain roles, previously. What's that like to work with people who may be a bit older than you are, in that role?
Yeah, I think when I first started out, it was certainly a little bit intimidating. You have people who certainly know more than you and have been around longer and are sometimes, more wise. But I think what's important is, I'm not going to know everything, and that's okay, but that's what you have teams for. Your experts are on your teams. And also just showing, respect and establishing that trust is what's important. And when you show up every day for your team and you listen to them and they feel like they're heard, they're not going to question your age at that point.
Right.
And I think very early on, as I was learning that, I've struggled with maybe a little bit of that ageism, but I don't have that issue anymore. I know, my teams trust me, my providers trust me, and it's just, being accountable and making an impact, and you prove yourself over time.
That is so cool. I love that story. So, how did you adapt to being, a person in the medical practice early on to someone being elevated to that leadership role, did you look for mentors or anybody else there, or even MGMA, to gain some knowledge, to gain some maybe processes, or how I want to identify myself as a leader?
Yeah. I think it's very important to find a mentor, whether it's in the workplace or out of the workplace. I've been fortunate enough that when I started, I had a wonderful leader who we don't work together any longer. We've gone to different places, but I'll still call her for advice. She's older than me, but she is like my go-to person, and I'm very fortunate to have a leader now in my current role who he's very supportive, and I can go to him for any advice that I need, and it's a safe space to go over any problems. So finding that mentorship is very important. And I know MGMA offers
That's right.
their has a mentorship program that they offer, which I would highly recommend if you can't find that type of support in the workplace.
We'd like to take a quick break to highlight the exclusive offers available during National Medical Group Practice Week. From January 26th to the 30th, MGMA is offering special savings on membership, ACMPE certification, and professional education designed to help you strengthen your skills and advance your career. Learn more at mgma.com/NMGP-week. Now, back to our conversation. Now, you are technically an early careerist because of your age. However, your experience level, we almost have to change the rules for people like yourself who have been around for more than a decade, right, in healthcare, but you're still technically considered an early careerist. What would you say to those other early careerists who are just trying to get their footing? You know, they're trying to find their place. What are some first things you would suggest they do to really continue to grow and really find who they are in that practice?
Yeah. I think one thing that's extremely important is to always ask questions, because I think learning never ends. You know, we go to school as kids, but that doesn't stop just in school. You are always learning, and applying that knowledge throughout your life is really important. And there's so many different pathways to go about it. Like I've mentioned before, I went down like a certification route and kind of got those technical skills that way. MGMA offers podcasts, webinars, online learnings, and I think that's really important. Not even just for practice managers. Those tools are important for anybody in healthcare to access, and I recommend it.
Yeah. Now, you have already learned so much, but talk about the learning curve, because from the outside looking in, healthcare is so complex. There's so many moving parts to it. There's so many challenges, friction points, all those things. So when you look at that learning curve, talk about how you navigated it, and maybe how you kind of took some, not shortcuts, but used networking and other things to help you navigate that space.
I think one thing that's really important, especially if you're going to be in leadership, is trying to understand how processes work across the team, regardless of role, because that's what's going to make you knowledgeable. And asking questions, and like I said earlier, you're not going to know everything, and you want to rely on your staff to be subject matter experts and teaching you. And I think that when you get into everyone's day-to-day work, you can fully understand the big picture, and that's important when you're trying to help run a practice.
Okay. I love this next question because it has an interesting answer at times. So let me share this one with you. What does a typical day look like for you as a practice leader? And maybe there's no typical day, but give us an idea here.
I'd be lying if I said I would like there to be a typical day, but it's a lot of putting out fires, just round. I would say the one constant thing is I'm checking in on my teams, on my providers every day, rounding throughout the clinics, making sure there's visibility there, because visibility builds credibility. but every day is different. But I love problem solving, and that's what I do every single day. And so it's okay that no 2 days look the same.
That is neat. And I love that visibility builds credibility. Is that it?
Yes.
I love that. I'm going to start using that on the podcast and other places at MGMA, webinars, and everywhere else I go. You and I have met previously about Future 5, about early careerist initiatives you've been a part of. What are you working on as far as professional development in 2026, maybe certifications, any other advanced learning you may be doing right now?
Yeah. Well, my goal for 2026 is to get my CMPE certification. So I have my books and I'm studying for that right now. And I always try to attend as many of the webinars as possible. I think that's always beneficial. Continuous learning, I will preach that all day long.
All right, cool. Let's go back then. This is always interesting for our other MGMA members who listen to the content we share with them. How long have you been involved with MGMA, and what was that sort of origin story? How'd you get introduced to it in the first place?
I've been involved with MGMA for 2 years. I've heard of it prior to joining.
Okay.
I had a leader recommend it to me once I started getting into leadership. And when I went back to school to finish up my bachelor's degree, that's when I got involved with MGMA and then got involved with the Early Careerist Resource Group, which has been very exciting, and I love working with other professionals.
Yeah. You and I have talked so many times, and I've seen you at conferences. I thought you had been a member for maybe 10 years or so, but 2 years. Wow, you have taken such advantage of MGMA's resources in those 2 years. Talk about how the organization has helped support you, helped you feel supported as an early careerist. You might want to talk about that early careerist resource group or whatever else you want to talk about.
Yeah. I love the tools on the website. I have actually referenced those in a lot of work groups I'm in at work. I love providing those tools, and connecting with peers who are in the early careerist demographic has been very useful because we might all be in practice management, but we don't all do the exact same work, and we can learn from each other and bounce ideas off of each other. And I love that we each bring our own strengths to this.
Yeah. In those early careerist meetings and discussions, give us a little insight. Maybe what's something y'all have problem solved about or discussed in those early careerist meetings?
Yeah, so we've talked about using AI for goal setting. We've talked about career pathways and certifications, networking, and I'm very excited for the one we have coming up. It's just a little hint is once you've kind of gotten your certifications and you're in your role, what's next? So just kind of the building blocks for what's next.
Cool. I may have to sneak in and listen to that one. That sounds like a good one. We are in the middle of National Medical Group Practice Week. So what does that mean to you when you think about there's a whole week set aside for practice leaders and medical practices? What's that mean to you?
I think it's amazing that there's a week dedicated to it. I think, when people think of healthcare, they think of the clinical teams, healthcare workers, and they do amazing work, and I will never play that down. But a lot of people don't know what goes behind the scenes and the support that practice managers are providing, or, other operational leaders, front desk staff, and just to take a week to acknowledge the work that those people are doing is very important, and I'm grateful that we have people like that to support our healthcare teams.
Cool. All right. So last question here. What advice would you give our listeners who are early in their career, no matter what age they are, because we really do define it in some ways like, are we new to healthcare? So when we think about it that way, what would you share with them? Maybe some first steps or some things to focus on as early careerists?
Yeah. There are two key things that I think are really important. One is always ask questions. And the second is relationship building is very important. Not just to have a good workplace environment, but you never know what those relationships are gonna do. Like that's what kind of helps you grow, and you'll find a mentor that way, or you'll learn about a new role. And they don't have to be your immediate team. I think it's important to build relationships with everyone across the organization
Yeah.
and get that support.
I just want to say at this point, Tori Cordova, I want to thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Yeah, it's been so great, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you because you've given back so much. You're an MGMA member. Again, I'm a little stunned that you've been around here 2 years. I thought it might be 10 because you've just put so much into it and you've gotten so much out of it too. So thank you again for that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, everyone, we have been talking with Tori Cordova this week as part of National Medical Group Practice Week. And we would love to hear your stories. If you are interested in sharing your story as an MGMA member, message us on social media. You can find the links to those accounts in the description below. Thank you so much.